Boxing Truth here. Just want to bang out another prediction vid. I'm off to a 2 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw start in 2017. I really should be 3-1, but it's all good. I'm going to look to get another prediction right. And the only fight that I'm interested in this weekend, this Saturday, is of course the vacant IBF world title fight between Jarrret Hurd and Tony Harrison. 254-pounders represented by Al Haymon, and the only fight that I'm interested on the February 25th card this weekend being headlined by Deontay Wilder. Could care less about Deontay Wilder's next cherry pick, voluntary defense. Could care less about Dominic Brazil. He's really the underdog to the opponent he's fighting. A recently signed Haymon advised client. Never heard of him. Don't know much about him. Never seen him fight. So he's favored to win. So I can care less about Brazil's. Care less about Deontay Wilder's next cherry pick. So I'm going to focus on a pretty decent fight on paper. An interesting fight. Now for a vacant world title for the IBF between Jarrret Hurd and Tony Harrison. Now, Jarrret Hurd, he's the slight favorite coming into this fight. He's coming off more momentum. He's undefeated. He's coming off good performances, knockout performances. He's looked like the more complete, more skillful fighter. Harrison was being brought up by Haymon. A lot of cannon fodder he fought. A lot of showcases, wastemen that he fought that gave him a false sense of confidence. It didn't give him the proper preparation or the development process while heading into his first real opponent that he fought in Willie Nelson. A guy that he couldn't deal with the pressure, couldn't handle resistance finally for the first time in his career. And he ended up faltering within 9 rounds, getting stopped. So now Harrison's heading into this fight as a slight underdog. He's fought perhaps more accomplished fighters. He's fought Willie Nelson but lost. Got chipped up by a gatekeeper. So we already know what's the deal with Tony Harrison. I just don't think he's that good enough. Maybe he's good enough to challenge for a world title. Maybe challenge a name or two, but he ain't good enough to be at the level Haymon wanted him to be. The guy had a little charisma, a little style, was a decent puncher, showed some power in the cannon fodder opponents that he fought, but then finally stepped up to a gatekeeper level and got trashed. So now Jarrret Hurd is Al Haymon's new right-hand man, especially in the 54-pound division. Hurd is being pushed. He's the ace side in the fight, and Al Haymon expects him to win, wants him to win. And Jarrret Hurd, he hasn't fought the type of opposition that Harrison fought, but Harrison, when you look deeply into his resume, it's not very impressive. Am I supposed to be impressed that he knocked out a chop-worn, faded, chinny Fernando Guerrero? I'm not impressed by that. He, beat up on some undersized guys like Antoine Smith. So who's he really beat? Some unknown guy, Rabchenko? I don't know who he was. Never heard of him. Never seen him fight prior to his fight with Harrison. But he ended up getting the win. He's looked vulnerable in a lot of his fights. Doesn't have a good gas tank. He's chinny. And his punching power is not as advertised as he stepped up in his level of competition. Hurd, he just looked like the goods. His last few performances, very, very impressed. He was fed a lot of soft touches early in his career. Then he stepped up in class, and he has excelled at this level, at the level he's been competing at. Fought undefeated up-and-coming guys. He fought hungry young fighters with confidence and a lot of momentum going into fights. Oscar Molina, Frank Galarza. I mean, Galarza was knocking motherfuckers out and he was favored to beat Jarrret Hurd, and Jarrret Hurd trashed him. So Harrison, looking at his career, he hasn't exactly fought an up-and-coming hungry guy with confidence coming into a fight. Willie Nelson already took a few L's. He was just battle-tested. Rabchenko, he was coming off a loss. Fernando Guerrero had been chinned so many times prior to the fight with Harrison. So now Harrison's fighting for the first time in his career a young, hungry, in his prime fighter, coming in with confidence, coming off knockout performances. and he's the underdog. And when it comes to this fight, Hurd, he's the more versatile fighter. He can fight on the inside. He can fight on the outside. He can fight from distance. He's got crazy reach with his punches, but he can fight on the inside as well. He's got good speed. He's got good counter-punching ability, good power, very sharp with his punches, has a great right uppercut, has a good, decent, sharp jab. It's not just effective, there's some power behind it. And he throws really good straight right hands and right uppercuts. His left hook, sometimes he slaps with it, but when he really puts some power behind it, he can really put your lights out with that left hook. So Hurd brings a lot to the table. Skills. He doesn't have much of an amateur pedigree, which is surprising. When you look at the skills that he displays, the talent that he brings to the table, it's surprising that he's only had 40 amateur fights. He didn't really have much of an amateur background. And he's turning, like he said, non-believers into believers. He's turning me into a believer. Ever since I've been watching him fight, I've been very impressed. I think perhaps he's the best young 54-pound guy that Haymon has in his stable. And I think Jarrret Hurd is going to continue to impress. He's going to continue to look good. And he's a guy riding off momentum coming into his fight. Harrison, he likes to fight from behind the jab. He's not as very versatile in his style. He likes to fight behind the jab, keep the guys at distance, at range. He's got pretty decent speed. He's got solid power, but it's been not as powerful as he's raised his level of competition. He doesn't have the fastest feet, doesn't have the fastest hands. He's got pretty good speed. He's got a pretty good jab. He's got solid fundamentals, but he's really very easy to be countered. He's very open to straight right hands. He's very open to a jab. He tires in his fights when there's resistance being put in place, when he's fighting an opponent that's giving back resistance. He's chinny. Didn't really display much heart when he got dropped against Willie Nelson. Turned his back against the referee, and that's why the referee stopped the fight. Didn't really give the impression that he wanted to continue. And when the going gets tough with Jarrret Hurd, and that's exactly what's going to happen in this fight, the first 3-4 rounds will be interesting, perhaps even competitive. But then Jarrret Hurd is going to start unleashing his counter shots, his jab, and his straight right hand. And he's going to do a number on Tony Harrison. Harrison's going to have to be able to land his combinations, keep throwing the jab, but he's going to have to keep his hands up. The fatal flaw that he has, his left hand is too low after he jabs, and Hurd's a very good counterpuncher, and Hurd's going to take advantage. They're both pretty much the same size, have the same reach. There's really no advantages in terms of size. They pretty much have the same build. Both guys can fight from a distance, but Hurd just brings more to the table. He's a more versatile fighter. He's the more confident fighter. He's the undefeated fighter, and he is the ace side in this fight. Jarrret Hurd is going to drop this chump, and Tony Harrison is going to drop this pretender and keep his unbeaten streak intact, as he's going to become the IBF junior middleweight champion of the world. Jarrret Hurd by knockout, mid-round stoppage. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.